lady is no stranger to all this. Last week she was the first African American mayor in Broward County. It's my honor and pleasure to introduce Commissioner Barbara Sharief.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So Raphael asked me to come here tonight and just talk a little bit about some of the things that's going on in Broward County. Okay? So I have a list of things that are very relevant to our Hispanic community and things that I think that you all need to be aware of and what's going on. So the first thing is healthcare is going to be one of the hottest topics this legislative session. The reason why is because, as you know, the Affordable Care Act was implemented last year, aka Obamacare, which I hate that name. And when the Affordable Care Act was implemented so that people could get lower health insurance, it was with the caveat that three parts would take place. And that was the implementation of the Affordable Care Act, the reformation of Medicaid into the managed care system, and Medicaid expansion for those people who didn't fit within the criteria for the Affordable Care Act or Medicaid. Since that didn't happen, what has happened is we've had a year worth of high premium, and we don't have a year where everybody's covered completely so that we can get a good experience lot for the insurance companies to bring down the cost of health care. So you may be hearing in the news and around the town that people are going around bashing the Affordable Care Act saying, my insurance premiums didn't go down. And the reason why they didn't go down is because the third portion of what was to occur never happened, and that was Medicaid expansion. So if Medicaid expansion hadn't occurred, the population that's using the most highest cost of our health care, like our emergency rooms, our intensive care centers, and our hospitals for preventative care, that would have gone down, thereby driving down the cost of your premiums under the Affordable Care Act. So since that didn't happen, this legislative session, those people that fell out of that rule that are in what we call the donut hole have to be addressed. So you will be hearing more about that. And the reason why that affects the Hispanic community is because the majority of those people that fell in that donut hole, they're Hispanic or African American. So that's why you need to know about that. So please be on the lookout for that and please advocate and be aware. The next thing that you have that has been a hot topic in Broward County that affects our Hispanic and our ethnic population has been the hunger issue. I see commercials on the TV all the time talking about feeding kids in Nigeria and feeding kids in Ecuador and Peru and Colombia and all these places where they're hungry. But can you believe that we have more kids here in the state of Florida that go hungry than probably 38 other states in the United States? And so we have hungry families, we have hungry individuals on the street. You saw recently with that Fort Lauderdale ordinance that there were some people that came forth and they were talking about feeding people on the street. I sit on the Homeless Initiatives Partnership, and I've sat on that board now for 4 years. And people ask about solutions to hunger. So let me tell you what Broward County is doing about the solutions to hunger. The first thing is that feeding someone on the side of the street is a Band-Aid for a bigger problem. That truly is not a solution, feeding somebody 3 times on the side of the road. We accept that because that is helping us in the grand scheme of things and what we're trying to accomplish. So on the Homeless Initiatives Partnership Board, what we're doing right now is we're focusing on something called rapid rehousing. We have determined, and it is a proven fact, that when you take a homeless person and you put a roof over their head and they have an address and a place to call their own, several things happen. They're entitled to their government benefits. We are able to get them food stamps, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, and disability, and any type of mental health and substance abuse care that they need under federal guidelines and state guidelines. And we're able to do that for free and not taxpayers. So our Homeless Initiatives Partnership Board has been going after and capturing rapid rehousing dollars so that we can create a solution to that problem. I'm going to give you some statistics because I think that the media kind of, they overplayed it and really distorted the reality of what we have on the street. So at present in Broward County, what we do every single year is called a point-in-time count. The homeless point-in-time count. So we go out and we make contact with every single homeless individual and family in Broward County. We categorize them according to the federal standards, and we produce a count every year where we can get federal and state dollars. Currently, we have only 2,884 homeless people and families considered in Broward County right now. It's a big difference in all the 15 and 20,000 that you were hearing on the TV when all of this stuff went national. We have 2,884, right? So out of those 2,884, we categorize them into families, into individuals with mental health conditions, into veterans, and we take them and put them in what's called an HMIS system. It's called the Homeless Management Information System. It's that thing that we were fighting for. It's a system that connects over 400 people that provide service in Broward County. It connects all of them together. It allows us, when we make contact with a homeless individual on the street, to access their database. If they are so impaired that they can't remember their name or their social security number, we can pull them up. There's a picture, it has identifying information. Why is that important? Every time you make contact with a homeless individual and they choose to stay on the street, okay, they're getting worse and worse and worse. And it has been a proven fact that per year, a homeless individual with a chronic condition can cost us $1 million. $1 million. Okay? So with this HMIS system, we connect 400 social service organizations so that we can care for the homeless and try to bring them into our program and get them rapidly housed, get them fed, and get them the social service benefits. Our program not only comes with the rapidly housing, but we also have job training and job readiness program. So what we do is we take them, we find out what they're good at, we help them to become clerks, we help them get entry-level jobs, so they can get back on their feet and they can make a living. This is the only solution for homelessness, and this is what our focus is in HIV. The reason why I bring this up is, again, the majority of the 2,884 people are African Americans or Hispanic. So we have an issue in our community, and we need to address it, and so that's how we're doing that. The next thing that I've been asked about is transportation. So people complain all the time about the number of cars that we have on our streets. They complain about the fact that our transportation infrastructure does not extend far enough west to get the west people out of their cars and get them east morning, noon, and night. How are we going to solve this problem? Here's the issue. Everything, in order to get what you want, we need money. Everything takes money. The federal government and Azteca, Florida Department of Transportation, gave us grant money to build the 595 expressway. They gave us grant money to get those articulated buses that you drive on with the water line. But there's only so much of those dollars around. We are dependent upon the Highway Trust Fund and the money generated from the gas tax. That money has been dwindling because automobiles have been made where they're more efficient. So you use less gas. So we're generating less money to improve our transportation infrastructure. So when we tell you we can't do something, it's not because we don't want to or because we sit on a big pot of money. It's because we're not generating the dollars to support it. The other thing that we're dependent upon is the Highway Trust Fund, which we're dependent upon Congress to fund. Congress has not been funding that trust fund at the level on which it was created to be funded. So we've lost money there. So here are some of the solutions that have been posed. I also sit on the Metropolitan Planning Organization, which is responsible for, and school board members of it as well, responsible for transportation and infrastructure improvement. Here's what has been proposed, and we need to start thinking about it. The only way to get what we want in terms of our transportation infrastructure, like rail, trolleys, everything that you're talking about, more buses, is for us to create a standardized and steady source of revenue for it. So the proposal has been made, and it would have to go on the ballot, of course, and you would have to vote that a 1-cent sales tax be generated for funding transportation only. And so instead of ours being 6%, we would go to 7%. But that would have to be approved at the state level, and it also has to be on the ballot, and we have to get 60% to get that. But there is a willingness out there among the residents that we polled that they would like to do that. So I'm putting that out there for you today because of another reason. Most of the people who need to use our public transportation system are African American and Hispanic. So if you guys are truly focused on helping Latinos and helping people of different ethnicities to get where they need to go in Broward County, and we need to seriously think about this 1-cent sales tax. So you can go and discuss it, and when it comes out, you'll be ahead of the curve. So I'm already giving you what's going on. Okay. The next thing, Raphael, should I stop or should I keep going?
You can, it goes in 10.
All right. Am I boring you? Okay. All right, so there's a couple more that I want to get in here. The next thing is that we talked about the hunger. There are some solutions that we've come up with on HRT for that. The first one is in California and other places, they have repurposed old parking meters so that when people are coming down the street, they can donate change to those parking meters for the homeless. We are in the process of doing that in Broward County. So that's one thing that we're doing. The next thing is that in Miami-Dade County, they have a food and beverage tax for 1 penny for the homeless. Okay? They were able to do that because they're not a charter county, and they can do things we can't for a charter county. Ours have to go to the state for food. If we can do a food and tax on food and beverage only for the homeless, that will generate enough money to fund programs and to get them off the street, even the ones that don't want structure. So those are two solutions that were proposed. I want you to know about them because you'll be hearing more about them this year. I was asked about immigration and about these changes that Obama had proposed, President Obama proposed. One of the things that people ask me all the time is whether or not the policy between the wet foot and dry foot is going to change. I'm just telling you that that's not going to change. We are still taking anyone who reaches land, and they will be processed and they're able to stay here. So that hasn't changed. There are a couple of travel things that have changed, like going over. Travel visas are easier to get now, and if you have family over there, you can get a travel visa easier now. And there are more flights that are going to be happening. As a matter of fact, they're talking about some of them coming out of Fort Lauderdale. So that's pretty cool. Right now, they're all out of Miami. Okay. Two more. First of all, everybody's been hearing about Uber, right? And hearing how bad we are that we're not letting Uber operate. So let me just give you the skinny on it. The money that we generate from the taxi cab industry goes back into our general fund to fund transportation and buses and things for Broward County. Okay, that all goes back into our community. If we allow Uber to operate without paying licensing fees and pickup fees, that means that we would have to allow Yellow Cab and the taxi industry to do the same. Now, what does that generate in terms of revenue each year? $595,000 in permitting fees alone for taxi cabs. So what we're talking about right now, we're not saying that the black cars aren't cool. We're not saying that we don't like it. What we're saying is that it is going to hit us in the pocket. And then we're going to have to find $595,000 every year to go do something, to go fund the other things that we need. And we need to make them pay. So this is about them paying their fair share into the system. We want to try to help them to operate, but Uber is not willing to take the fee that the taxi cab companies are going to pay. And if we allow them to do that, then we have to allow a free-for-all. So it's kind of a toss-up. I know you like the black cars. I like them too. I actually have
So it creates competition. So it puts more money in the citizens' pockets.
Into the system so we can keep doing what we're doing. And think about this. We make $595,000 now, and we allow P&Cs to be categorized separately, and they have just as many cars on the street. That's $1.2 million that we can generate.
Money for us to spend, no more.
Right? Are you all with me? So that's why we're giving Uber a hard time. So please don't send me any more bad emails. Public service announcement. Look at that. We agree. Okay, so the next thing that we have going on is the wheelabrator deal. It's trash. How many of y'all been hearing about the trash? Every week I live trash. So, wheelabrator, yeah. And they were actually some of the troublemakers that started this Miramar. I was on there. I was a troublemaker. I don't believe. Yeah, I was going to say you were with me. I actually took the trouble to the county. So here's the deal with wheelabrator. For 24 years, wheelabrator enjoyed a monopoly on trash waste disposal in Broward County. They were the only provider. They were a sole source. They had the only waste-to-energy plant. And they were charging us out the nose. And some special lawyer, who was a very good friend of theirs and not ours, drew up a contract where 20 of the 31 cities in Broward County were paying for wheelabrator's waste-to-energy plant and the bonds on it. And at the end of the 20-year period, wheelabrator owned the plant outright, and the cities who paid into it were only entitled to a distribution of assets that were liquid. At the time, it sounds like a good deal to whoever drew it up. Okay? I was not on the commission. I was sitting there. So we are stuck with an agreement that was very old, and there was no competition. The cities wanted competition. Miramar led the way for that competition. We competed. We brought in Sun Bergeron and Sun Recycling. Now we have established healthy competition. Our rate for trash was $84 a ton. And when we brought in the competition, they offered us $69 a ton to keep the monopoly on. We said no. I fought at the county level, they fought at the city level. We brought the cost of trash moved down to $37 a ton. $34 a ton, I'm sorry. We brought it down to $34 a ton by creating competition and bringing Sun into the market. Now that Sun has been into the market for 2 years, what has happened is that 37% of the waste has gone to Sun Recycling, and Wheelabrator is saying that they no longer have enough trash to keep both of their plants open, both of their waste-to-energy plants open. Since they are their assets and they own them, they are free to do with them. We have no say in that. So, Wheelabrator sold just recently to a national company called International Recycling Corporation. They just sold the Wheelabrator plant and the Wheelabrator franchise here in Broward County to that recycling company. That company has put a proposal on the table and said they're locking the North plant after all those contracts run out, which will be within the next 5 years. They will put a lock on it, close it down, and never use it again, because there's one plant in South County, they don't even have enough waste to put that at full capacity, and never will generate enough waste to do that. So essentially, what they're saying is that by taking away 37% of their business, we have prohibited them from being able to operate 2 plants. Now, that is a consequence of competition. You know that and I know that. If you're in business
Good,
and you can't keep the doors open, you're going to do what you have to do to survive. So when Wheel of Grader made their deal and they closed their deal on December the 17th, they sold their plants to this international recycling company, okay? So now what we're dealing with is we were trying to get whatever we could get out of the deal for Broward County. So what we wanted was, we wanted them to take on some of the liabilities that we have in Broward County so that we don't have to charge for them. And we wanted to make sure that if they closed that plant that we would get all the capacity that we could get, we needed to get, and that we fell in line with our recycling goals. So at this point in time, they closed their deal. We are now talking about Coconut Creek and their bad deal that they made with Little Grader. Coconut Creek negotiated a very bad disposal and recycle deal with Little Grader. They want the county to intervene on their behalf, and we normally don't do that, and we can't do that. And they want us to take on their part. So that's what you see in the newspaper. It's not that we want to close down the plant, but we really don't have any control over that. And you all need to know that. So when you hear it in the news, you know your commissioner is not doing anything that will make your neighborhood safe. It's not good. All right. And the last thing that we have, and I'm going to close with this, is the BB&T issue. You haven't heard about that in a while, and the reason why you haven't heard about that in a while is because we hired a consultant to come in and analyze the deal. And at this point in time, the consultant has not come back with an answer to us as to whether or not we need to give the $80 million to the arena operator and use the church development tax dollars for that, or whether it's better to let them go and maintain the arena ourselves. We don't have an answer for that, and so that's why you haven't heard anything. It's not because of the election like the newspapers, right? I love the way that they just twist stuff. We hired a consultant. After we hired the consultant, we found out that that consultant had worked for the arena operators in another state, so that was a conflict of interest. So we pulled that consultant and hired another one. So now it takes some time to get through. There's a couple pieces of information that I want to leave for you. There's a newsletter there with most of what I talked about in it for January. We produce that every single month. There's also a little yellow book, and it's called the Commissioner on a Mission Health Information Guide. I made that back in 2006, and we've been updating it, but it has everything in there from elderly services, foreclosure assistance, veteran health, homelessness, hunger assistance, anything that you need. One of the things I need to tell you is that if you know anybody that's been served with a foreclosure notice, we have given legal aid $275,000 so that they can handle the cases that walk in with foreclosures without charging them. So if you have anybody that's been served, they do not have to wait to try to find an attorney. They just need to go to legal aid and walk in, and they will take care of it. That's my spiel. Thank you.